It's 8:45 p.m. on Monday, the 4th of September, 2017. It's going to be a good one. This is the Cat's Whiskers podcast, live. Hello and welcome to the first Monday night edition of the Cat's Whiskers podcast of the 2017-18 season. My name is Jono Bullard and we have got a packed show for you tonight. We'll be looking back at Panthers in the Champions Hockey League and also paying a homage to Cardiff as well as they got their first CHL victory yesterday. We'll also be looking at the other results in the Elite League, reading out some of your tweets and previewing the Elite League season. So a busy show. And joining me around the virtual table of chat tonight are Tina Taylor.
Hiya.
Paul Balm.
Hello.
Antoine Marie-Jeanne.
Hello.
And last but by no means least, Andy Haywood.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Well, you can get in touch with us tonight via Twitter while we're live. It's at Cat's Whiskers TV. Love to hear from you if you are listening to the show. But first, we will obviously start with a momentous week for the Nottingham Panthers with 2 Champions Hockey League wins at the NIC. It started on Thursday night, the 31st of August, against Mountfield of the Czech Republic. A 4-3 overtime win for the Panthers. Panthers goals from Jan Sauvé, 2, David Clark and Evan Mosey. Sauvé, of course, getting the overtime winner. Mountfield with goals from Thomas Zigo, Filip Jirasek and Filip Pavlik. And then on Saturday, a quite astonishing win against the Swiss champions SC Bern. 4-2 after being 2-0 down. Bern going into the lead through Simon Mosier and Andrew Ebert. Panthers scoring with 2 from Alex Mokshantev, Jeff Brown and then Robert Lakovic with the empty netter to seal the game. Now, unfortunately, I was there on Thursday. I wasn't there on Saturday. All you guys were there on Saturday. So I think, Paul, I'll start with you as the senior statesman amongst us.
Oh, here we go again.
But in the history of the Nottingham Panthers, do you think these are the 2 best results we've achieved?
They're certainly up there. I mean, obviously they're no, away win at Bracknell or anything, but yeah, I mean, seriously, they've certainly got to be up there. I can't ever remember us beating, and it has to be said, properly beating teams of that calibre before. We were we were the better side across both nights, I thought. And for what was it? Google translated, want of a better word, the Swiss media reporting to the humble Nottingham Panthers. I mean, I bet there's fans of all sorts of clubs out there going, they're never humble, but that's the words of the Swiss press, not me.
Tina, as the... how can I put this nicely?
Newest.
As the new...
You didn't try and put mine nicely, did you?
I said senior statesman. I thought that was a mark of respect. But there you go. Tina, as the one amongst us with the least experience of watching the Panthers, what's your take on that question?
It's a hard one to answer because I think I mean, certainly beyond my experience of the Nottingham Panthers, I'm sure there have been games where people have felt that they've been more momentous, they've meant more. There's been games which have had turning points that have, felt like they meant more. But I think these are important results because nobody expected that to happen. I don't think there's a single person in the hockey community that knows about the CHL or has any involvement in the CHL that thought that the Panthers were going to beat Bern. And I mean, if we just sort of rewind a little bit to some of the podcasts that we had during the summer, I think we all sort of said that our best chance of any points was from Mountfield, and that maybe we could get something from them at home. And if fast forward back to now, and we've got 3 wins. I mean, that's bonkers. We aimed for 2. We've gone beyond. We've gone beyond what the aim was. Last time we got 1. This time we wanted 2. We got more than that. I think one of the things it does sort of point to is the potential that this team has. It's exciting. I mean, the domestic season hasn't even started yet, and just you just have to have a quick look on social media to see what our CHL campaign so far has done to the fan base. I think that speaks volumes. We may not have got the team in for training, the entire team in for training camp as was promised, but we have a better team, which was loosely promised. I would probably say, we have a better calibre of team. We have a team on the ice that we're all looking at and going, yeah, do you know what? this is good. I mean, for me, I only have one question mark throughout the whole team, and it's not even a big one. It's not even a this guy is not doing very well. It's less than that. It's almost insignificant. But we have watched a bunch of guys who have been a team. They have played as a team. We've got one guy in the team who probably doesn't speak a word of English, but he's still in the team and he's playing in the team. They are working with him as a team. They are looking good. So I think probably the biggest significance in the right now is what it's done for the fan base.
Okay. Andy, Anne, anything to add to that question? So do you think these are the 2 best results we've ever achieved?
I think Bern is, definitely. Mountfield, maybe if it was... maybe if we hadn't beat Bern, I'd be saying yes. But I think Bern definitely is... that's a cut above anything we've ever had domestically. But I just think, as far as important wins or significant wins, that type of thing, I think probably for me, you'll look at championship winning games. I'm sure there'd have been a game at some point in that league winning season that sort of kicked us on. It might not have been the Belfast game as such that we won, but we needed to win. There might have been another one sort of prior to that was the real sort of the turning point. Particularly after that Edinburgh loss. And then the cup, some of the cup wins, I think would probably you'd class as being more significant than the Mountfield win. But that's only because we've also got the Bern win now, which I think is just absolutely, it's insane. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Anything to add?
Well, I'd say Mountfield away was probably a bigger win than the Mountfield home game. The fact that it was away from home, when you're at home and you've got your own fans behind you, and as they were on both nights, our fans were immense. They reacted, yes, to the team's performance, but I think a lot of it came and gave a boost to the team's performance as well, based on some of the interviews that have been given since. They all complimented how loud the fans were. So I would put the Mountfield away game above the home game. But you can't take away that Bern game as it was just. Wow, I still can't can't believe it. I was chatting to a friend at work today, and I was trying to explain the significance, and all I could think of to compare it to was probably if Notts County played Barcelona. That's sort of the level, the differences we're talking about. It was fantastic, huge result. But like Andy said, championship winning games mean more. But at this moment in time, that Bern game has given us a chance, and a real chance, to qualify from the group. And who would have thought that at the start of this season?
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, just touching on something Ant said there about the crowd. I mean, it's quite sort of apt now that the team come out to, that sort of flame effect on the ice, because the way the atmosphere in there was like the whole building felt like, and the team just felt like it was on fire. Everything was really pumped up, really fired up. I mean, how much of that was down to the Bern fans? I don't know, but the place was just electric.
Yeah. And I mean, I was watching it on a mobile phone on silent. I managed to watch the last 2 minutes, I think, with the sound on, and even on a mobile phone, the atmosphere was just incredible. It just sounded like the roof was going to come off the place.
It was deafening. There was one point where there was just a standing ovation. Nothing happened in terms of there were no goals of, and I think that the shift ended with Bern taking a penalty in the end. But there was just a standing ovation, because it was just just the effort and the
yeah. I think I know which bit you mean. I think I know which bit you mean. It was like it was in the second period. I think we had them headed in their zone for almost, it felt like a full 2 minutes or something. It felt like a power play, but we were at even strength. It was just gorgeous to watch.
Mm. And moving on from that question, we said, are they the two best? Are they the most important?
No.
No. And I would have to say no. But Paul, I'll let you go. Why do you say no?
Because at the end of the day, we could. Yes, we've beaten Bern. Yes, we've beaten Mountfield, and these are great, wonderful, marvellous things. But if we don't beat Turku, and we don't we don't get out of the group or anything, it'll all be for nothing. There have been. It's like I think it was Andy. I think, apologies if it was somebody else, was saying earlier. There have been far more important games. The games that turned the season, where the game in Belfast, the game in Hull the week before. And that's just one season. So yes, it's great, but is it important? I think it's more important for British ice hockey than it is for the Nottingham Panthers.
Yeah, I think yeah.
In terms of our season, in what it's done for British ice hockey will live on. For us, it might all go horribly wrong in October. I mean, we're top of the group till then.
This is the thing. I mean, for me, the most important game for us, or the most important result for us in the time I've been watching Panthers, was when we won the league in Belfast. I think because of what that meant, the significance it was for us as a club, and the monkey that finally came off our backs. But yeah, I mean, that's not to say that these aren't important wins. They're huge wins. They're absolutely massive. But I think in the context of what they mean, I think I agree with you, Paul, that it probably means a lot more for the Elite League than it actually does for the Nottingham Panthers. But anybody else got anything to add on that?
Well, I'd say that when we win the CHL, that'd be a more important win.
Oh, well, obviously, yeah. That's when you can play that back, and I'll apologise profusely.
Don't get too cocky, boys. That's.
No, I mean, obviously, I've seen people that all of a sudden that our odds, didn't they drop? We were 200 to 1 at the start of the tournament. They're now 100 to 1.
No, we were 500 to 1, and they've dropped to 200 to 1.
Okay, well,
so it's still improbable.
That's even a bigger drop. I mean, yes. I mean, there's a euphoria around the club at the moment, the fan base. I didn't speak to one person after that game on Saturday when I could actually form a sentence that wasn't buzzing about that performance, that result. It was huge. But just out of interest, what sort of prize money is on offer? If like obviously the Champions League in football, there's a lot of money on offer, and they'd get for winning a game and then qualifying. Do we get anything if we qualify?
I have absolutely no idea. So
I'm just thinking, we could use that money to have a new video screen, for instance.
If anybody knows, at Cats Whiskers TV, get in touch. Let us know.
I think all we get is an apology from that CHL official who told us that the only reason we beat Mountfield was because they weren't bothered.
Yeah. I don't agree with that in the slightest. Okay, looking at the two games as a whole, I thought that Panthers certainly were the better team for the most part on Thursday, and I think from the second period onwards were the better team on Saturday. But I suppose the question is, if a hockey fan walked in off the street not knowing who was playing, would they have been able to tell who was the higher ranked team in both of those matches? Tina?
Bern, yes, I would say. I was actually talking to a Bern fan in Bunkers afterwards, and the first thing he said, one of the first things he said to me, he says, "I don't want to offend you," he said, "but we are a better team than you." He said, "We can skate better, and we're technically better, but you fought harder." That was his sort of overall assessment, and he said, "You know, I take my hat off to your team because they fought harder and they upset us." They rattled us, and we didn't know what to do about it. But yeah, I would probably agree with his assessments. You know, they overall were better skaters. I mean, you know, you could pick a few from our team that could probably give them a run for their money, and they had. There were no lazy. We were talking about this, and I think it was either Paul or Ant who said this after the game. You know, there were no lazy sticks. There were no the pucks pretty much all had purpose. You know, except when one of our lot came in and just put a good hit on. You know, they sort of spilled the puck a few times. But you know, generally speaking, their Burns play had a lot more purpose. Mountfield, I would say, probably a little bit harder to tell. But if you were a hockey fan and you have watched hockey of all levels, you know, from NHL, KHL, right down to sort of our league, rec league, and EIHL, that sort of thing, I think you would probably know. But in terms of battle and fight and not enthusiasm, that's the wrong word, but you know what I mean. We had that in absolute bucket loads, and they just couldn't match us for that.
Okay. Anyone else want to contribute to that?
I pretty much agree with what Tina says about Bern, except for one thing. Our second goal. That second goal was very possibly the most beautiful Panthers goal I've ever seen, and it was the sort of goal that we would have expected Bern to be scoring against us. The quick, clever passing to put Momentous in, putting it into an almost empty net, and just leaving the way we left Bern's defence just sort of watching and floundering. So, that was the sort of thing we were expecting them to do to us.
Yeah, I mean, now you mentioned that, I'll skip forward to that bit of the agenda where is the second Momentous goal on Saturday one of the best Panthers goals you've ever seen?
No, I thought it was terrible.
I've watched it, and I've watched it again and again, and now it's sort of in the top three for a goal of the game day 4. And I just have to keep watching it because that is an NHL quality goal. The passing, the vision from Zach Phillips is incredible. I mean, the backhanded pass to him from Momentous in the first place is brilliant, but for then him to find the space and Phillips to have the time to look up and put a perfect pass on Momentous' stick, which takes out the defence, takes out the netminder, and he's just got to put it into the empty net. An absolutely outstanding hockey play, I thought. I mean, Andy, your thoughts?
Yeah, it was very good. I thought it's certainly right up there with best goals that I've ever seen. Everyone sort of harks back to the Jordan Fox goal against Sheffield.
Yep.
Possibly his one against Cardiff, I thought was very good at home. There was I think it might have been Matt Francis away in Cardiff. And I apologise because I can't remember who scored it because it's going back a while, but I do remember one goal, obviously not very well, where Craig Ed, Arus and Koivanaru just basically from our own zone just passed it amongst themselves and basically passed it to a back door and it was a tap-in. That will always live in my head, but this one certainly is right up there. There's not. It might not be. You'll always remember goals like Pat Gallivan's goal in Belfast or Moses' goal in the Challenge Cup final. You'll always remember those because of what happened. What it means importance-wise. But as far as just outstanding Panthers goals go, that is right up there.
I mean, in terms of the performance, how good do you think the Panthers were? Because for me, I was expecting us to be sort of clinging on in both games and be very much second best. Then that's no disrespect to us, but they are better teams. They are ranked far, far higher and come from far better leagues. But I thought for both games, we live with them. I mean, don't forget that Bern are the 4th seeds in the tournament. They are an outstanding hockey team. And we lived with them. We were their equal for a lot of that game. Mountfield, I thought, for a lot of that game, we were better than them. So, from the taking the two performances, how good were Panthers?
We were immense. And like you, I agree. I think we were actually better than Mountfield. I'd actually argue that it's already been said that we outfought Bern. That performance was full of heart. It was full of desire. I'm just touching on that awesome goal again. One thing that wasn't mentioned: Delago's work against the boards to free that puck up in the first place. Were we thinking that that's the sort of player we were going to get when we signed him? Everybody thought we were signing an out-and-out goal scorer. He works so hard to get that puck free, and then the rest is just magic. So yeah, I think I'd argue that we were the better team for most of both Mountfield games, and I think it was purely down to our desire and the fact we got in Bern's faces. We didn't let them settle. We finished every check, and we made their fans go very quiet as well, which was just amazing.
I mean, yeah, just to pick up on what Ant said at the end, I'd agree that I think the thing that turned that game was like when we played in Bern, we were 2-0 down after the first period. In Bern, we went 2-1. They came right back into the game and killed the game off. This time, when we went 2-1, we didn't give them chance to get back into the game, and that was why I think we went on to win. And I'm not going to argue with their coach when he said the better team always wins. In the interview after, which is a bit different to the Mountfield coaches who will when Bern play them, will probably blame, if they lose, will blame the fact that Bern came on a private jet.
On the evidence that you've seen so far, so we've had 4 Champions League games, 4 pre-season games, 8 games in total. How good do you think this Panthers team is, Tina?
Well, I don't really want to read too much into the Cardiff results. I think we were still waiting for guys to come in. Everybody's finding their feet. We were playing a team that largely returned again. They had a large amount of second year imports. The Krefeld game. I'm eagerly waiting for a couple of hours in my life to rewatch that. I bought the DVD on Saturday, so I'm eagerly awaiting that. I didn't see the Braehead game, so I'm sort of willing to just put that one aside. Unfortunately, Braehead fans, but the CIHL campaign has just been a massive shock. Like has been said already, I fully expected, definitely against Bern, that we would, we'd struggle to keep up, and we haven't. And if we can put that kind of enthusiasm into our domestic campaign, when we're going into the smaller rinks, where there aren't, 4,000 or 5,000, loud Panthers fans, chanting their backsides off for the entire 60 minutes, which we were, for the CHL games. But if the motivation, if they can carry the motivation into the domestic campaign that they had in the CHL, I think we're in for an absolutely stonking season.
Anyone got anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think ultimately the question of how good can this Panthers be, ultimately they are on current form, and on currently what we've seen, they could be the best Panthers team that we've seen, including 2012, 2013. They really could, but obviously we also have to tailor expectations. Yes, we should be challenging for everything. Yes, we should be winning silverware. But there's also going to be, other teams doing exactly the same thing, and it's one of the things. I certainly don't think that we'll have a season like last year, say, or the last time we were in the CHL, say, where I felt we played all right in the CHL last season. Obviously, we got a win, which was fantastic, but the rest of the year wasn't great. And obviously, last year, we won the Continental Cup. But the domestic campaign, wasn't good enough. I don't think we'll have a season like that because I think there's too much class on the team. But obviously, as on current form, you'd say we could quite easily win everything. But the chances of that are incredibly slim. There's not many teams that do win everything. You've only got to look at Cardiff last year to see how difficult it is to do it. When they had that chance in the playoffs to do it. So the sky is the limit for this team. It really is, because as I say, on current form and on the 8 games that we've played so far, this is genuinely an exciting time to be a Panthers fan.
Yeah, very much so. Sorry, was someone going to come in there? No, obviously not.
Well, all I would say is that just to temper things slightly, is we had a side that played well in Europe last year as well.
Yeah,
Look how the rest of it went.
Yeah, I think the level of competition is a bit different, though, which sort of gives me a lot of optimism. But we will come to that. We will come to that later. So there's a month gap now before the home game against TPS Turku, which is on the 3rd of October, Tuesday the 3rd of October. There are ticket deals on for that, so there's no reason why that NIC shouldn't be sold out and rocking for that. A game which, if we win, we will qualify for the knockout stages of the Champions League, which is, quite frankly, unbelievable. So, do you think the month gap is an advantage or a disadvantage?
I think at the moment it's a disadvantage. I think we're obviously riding that wave at the moment. That probably played into the Bern result on Saturday. This team is full of confidence. It's full of desire. It's full of passion. But then look who we play in between. How many times is John Armstrong going to have a go? I jest, obviously. Or do I? Yeah, I think I'd say it's actually a disadvantage. And it also gives the Finns a chance to sort of take notice of us. They're going to have plenty of games to buy DVDs of and watch highlights of to get to know our systems, and I don't think we'll be that much of an unknown quantity for them as we have been for Mountfield and the Swiss.
Anybody think it's an advantage having that gap?
I think ultimately for team play like they have been doing recently, I don't think it's really that important. I do agree with Anne, but I kind of feel like it'd be nice if we could perhaps keep it rolling in the CHL, and not have the break. But I just think, the way we're playing, if we can keep playing the way we're doing, yes, we might not win every game, but as long as we can keep our our style and our force our game on teams, I don't think that we should be too concerned about the fact that we're not playing CHL for another month.
Okay. So is there more history to be made, do you think? Very, very quickly, I'll ask all of you this. So, Tina, you start.
Is there more history to... Well, yeah, there is. I mean, the 2 games that we're going to be playing against Turku, and we didn't think we were going to come out with anything against Bern. There's been some odd results in our group. I mean, Turku lost to Mountfield at home. Let's not forget that. And yeah, I just don't know. It's there. It's there for the taking. The potential is there. We know the team have the potential to bring us those kind of results and to work hard for those kind of results. Yeah, it can be done. It definitely can be done. The team need to do their bit. We as the fans need to do our bit and make sure that we're there in our droves, and we do whatever we can to sort of give them the nudge over the finishing line, as it were. It would be very, very interesting if we were to qualify.
Paul?
Well, you see, if you'd asked me a week ago, I'd have said no. and I think that's the problem with results like the ones we've just had is that it does create that expectation, and you wonder. So I wouldn't say an absolute no. It might happen. At the end of the day, we only need one game to go into the next group, into the next stage. So who knows? Who knows anymore?
Yes, there is more history to be made. Do I think we could do it? Ask me again in a month's time when we've actually done it.
Okay, Andy?
I think just. I think we'll get an overtime win at home, and I think we will lose away. I've not done the maths. I don't know if this could be completely false, but I think that will probably see us just scrape it.
Possibly so. I know a regulation win will certainly seals it. I'm not sure of the connotations if it's an overtime win. I'm honest,
I'm just looking at the table now. We are 2 points clear of Bern and Turku. So you assume Bern beat Mountfield in both of their games. They top the group. If we go to overtime in both games and lose, we finish third because of obviously the head-to-head. If we get an overtime win and then lose in regulation in Turku, I assume, because we're both again on 10 points, I'd assume they go through on the head-to-head, better head-to-head record.
Okay, so basically we need to win in regulation and the NOC, and it's fantastic. We're through. But obviously one thing
that would be fantastic. Can you imagine? Obviously, the answer is no, because we couldn't imagine being in the position we're in now. But can you imagine being in the position of being able to give someone like Sam Gospel a start away from home in Turku, because you've already got through, to give him that kind of experience at that age, after coming up from the EPL, and then legitimately he's playing 60 minutes in the Champions Hockey League. if we win that game at home, then I think it's a really good opportunity to give these young kids some incredible exposure that will only help them in the long run.
Yeah, I'd agree entirely. I'd agree.
I like it, Andy.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, sorry, I know you want to move on, Jono, but on the flip side, wouldn't you rather win the group?
I don't. From our point of view, I genuinely don't see what the difference is.
Yeah, I
of winning the group and getting through. You know, having the option of having a home tie second against, Frölunda, say, realistically, it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah, and let's face it, we're the 32nd seeds anyway. We're the last seeds.
Yeah.
We are on paper going to have a much tougher game, regardless of whether we finish first or second. So, yeah, I genuinely don't think it matters. I agree with you. Okay. Moving on, we did ask the Panthers if we could speak to a player on tonight's podcast, obviously with it being such an important weekend, but we sent an email, but sadly they didn't respond to us, so we haven't got a player on the show, so we're sorry about that. We did have a fantastic response when we asked for your tweets about the weekend, if you could sum it up in 140 characters. Plenty of you managed it, and Richard Bradley sent a great question, which I will put to you all. He says, special mention to the Brit Pack, who all had tremendous games, particularly Ollie Betteridge and Robert Lakovic, who were superb. I agree wholeheartedly with that. I thought Lakovic was incredible on Thursday night in the Mountfield game. Looked very, very good in the Bern game. Ollie Betteridge as well. They were getting regular ice time. That fourth line looked tremendous. Andy, what do you have to say to Richard's tweet?
Yeah, I made a comment in the WhatsApp group saying that although it was going to be, quite obvious that Mark Shantzev was going to get man of the match because he scored 2 fantastic goals, I said in the group that Lacko deserves it. In that Bern game, I thought he was absolutely spectacular. And to be fair, I do think he's been very good at all. From the very first game against Cardiff, and I just think that these games in the CHL, he's really shown his worth at both ends of the ice. Particularly his defensive responsibilities and on the penalty kill and stuff like that, his back checking. But I also think in the attacking zone as well, and obviously a lot will always get made about his points production, but I think realistically, if you can get 20 points out of Robert Lakovic in a season at the moment, his role on the team has quite clearly changed, and I think people need to perhaps take that into account, that he's perhaps not being asked to, be one of the go-to guys anymore because of his role. And I just think that, as proved in these games Thursday, Saturday, that role is vitally important, and he's doing it exceptionally well at the moment.
Yeah. Paul?
Yeah, Andy's touched on Lacko there. I thought Betteridge as well was superb across both games. Never stopped trying, putting himself in there, and that line just didn't look out of place at all. Regardless of who they're up against, and going, unless my aged mind's really going, I think the line that everybody was stood up and applauding was that one. Tina remembers it probably better than I do, but so yeah, we talk about the Brits a lot, and what they can bring to a team, and they certainly brought it across those 2 games.
Tina?
Yeah, well, one thing I think I remember is that Thursday Lacko and Betteridge seemed to play together pretty much for both games. I think. I think it was Mark Shantzev that was with them on the Thursday largely, but I think he sort of got moved up the lines a little bit, and he was switched out with Bussiere. But yeah, it just worked. It both nights it seemed to work. Obviously it worked out really well for Mark Shantzev on Saturday because he had an absolute stormer of a game. That sort of that 2 minutes where we were all the mentioned earlier and that Paul just referenced again. I seem to remember there was a bit of chopping and changing with the Lions because it was over our bench's side of the ice, so they just did keep switching guys in and out. But yeah, I remember Betteridge and Lacko having a lot to do with that. I think Phillips may have had something to do with that as well. But yeah, hats off to our Brits because they've been brilliant so far. I haven't seen a lot of Kelsall and Tetlow, but I think they had a few shifts against Krefeld, and the only reason that you notice either of them, is not because they look out of place. It's because Tetlow is so frigging tall. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much the only reason you'd notice him, because you can't help but notice him. But yeah, Kelsall had a couple of shifts, and he he was getting stuck in and getting in the corners and what have you. So Britpack's looking good, and it's. I think we've sort of been on a bit of a downer, generally speaking, on our Brits. Losing Matthew Myers, that was never going to help, and Jonathan Boxill. I think we've got some experienced guys who are finding their feet. Well, they seem to have found their feet so far this season, in the pre-season CHL. And we've got some young prospects who are looking like they're shaping up to impress people, I think.
And let's not forget as well the goal David Clark scored against Mountfield.
Yeah, beautiful goal, straight across the netminder. No chance. Be a really, really good goal. Yeah, absolutely.
I was gonna mention and say that it tells you just how good the Britpack are playing at the moment. When realistically, David Clark, who has done exactly what David Clark does, is probably the one that you would say, out of ranking them in order, was probably lower down the pecking order than he ever has been in a long, long time, because of performances of everybody else. That's not a slight on David Clark in the slightest, because he's done exactly what we pay David Clark to do. It's just that Stevie Lee, Lacko, Betteridge, Farmer, they've all seriously upped their game for these Champions Hockey League games, and it's a really exciting. Again, it's just the excitement factor. It really is. It is so exciting to be a Panthers fan right now.
Yeah. And anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I mentioned on Saturday I singled Lacko out as, if just purely based on his performance, if anybody deserved an empty net goal as a reward, it was definitely him that night. And again, just touching on what Andy said about Clarkey, there was an interesting question posted on one of the Facebook groups, I think, to do with when Bussières returns, who gets demoted. Brisebois, sorry. There's too many French Canadians. Who gets demoted, and people straight away were going on Lacko and Betteridge, but why would you? Based on what they've been doing so far this season, I wouldn't split them up anyway, because they're playing out of the skin at the moment. But B, I think it's perfect. It's a perfect chance for us to utilise David Clark in a role where, David Clark's class. He's going to score goals wherever you put him. And I think using his experience and his ability to blend in regardless, I think it's a perfect chance for us to have him as our 10th forward, if you like, and keep everybody else together. Again, one thing I did notice on Saturday, although I could have sworn I dreamt it, but then I could have sworn I dreamt the entire game, we were using Lacko, Betteridge, Lee on one power play unit together. That shows you as well the trust and the belief that Corey has in them. It's just a brilliant time, isn't it? We've bemoaned our Britpack over the last couple of years. The addition of Perlini's been fantastic. What a difference that lad could possibly make to GB's prospects at the end of the year. Roll on Saturday.
Okay. Some more of your comments that you tweeted into us. Richard Halauka, he says, it all feels slightly surreal, but I pinch myself, so I know I can't be dreaming. They won't be underestimating little old us anymore. Andy Gill, fantastic weekend for British ice hockey, beating two of the biggest teams in Europe. Whoever thought little old us would top the group, eh? Matty Hogarth, he says, reason to believe again. Rubber Puck 1969, he says it's the 2013 team on steroids. Richard Martin, old barn, new era. Was this a glimpse into the future? Because if it was, I'm loving it. Ryan Atwood, I still haven't stopped smiling. Don't think I ever will. Kenwin Jones, friend of the show, sends a lot of comments in for us. He says, extremely happy for you. Tad jealous until last night. Over the moon at how you showcased the Elite League. Now go and win the group. Finally, Lee Constable. He says, more British hockey history, fantastic team effort, grit, determination. It didn't look like Seed 4 versus Seed 32, more like Seed 4 versus Seed 5, the way we played. So thank you very much to everyone who sent comments in for us. And of course, 2 outstanding performances means a very interesting Player of the Week poll that we had over the last 24 hours. So Mr. Balm, it's over to you.
Still no jingle. I don't know about a very interesting one. It's probably another predictable. But in third place, Jan Sauvé. Sorry? Oh. In second place, Michael Garnett, which means in first place, you guessed it, pause. It's not the X Factor.
We'll get back to you after this commercial break.
Exactly. The winner this week is Alexander Mokshantsev.
And probably no surprise at all. So from Russia with Love, Alexander Mokshantsev is the TCW Panthers Player of the Week. It was not only Panthers who had success in the Champions Hockey League, though. The Cardiff Devils got their first win on the board with a 4-3 overtime victory at Ice Arena Wales over HC Davos of Switzerland. That now means that every single Elite League team that has entered the Champions Hockey League has won at least one game. So I suppose a question to ask is, has the Elite League been underestimated when it comes to Europe's top competition? Andy?
Yeah, possibly. I think as a whole, it's probably. I think realistically that they're going to look at the squads and see that there is quality in there, and I think realistically teams would be daft to think that there wouldn't be quality in there. But I just think it's the depth factor, which I think is what makes us sort of fly under the radar a little bit, because I think teams just naturally presume that, they'll probably have a good, first line, but, they won't be as good as our first line, and then everybody else will be, relatively average. So we'll be fine over the course of the game because, we've got the depth to win these matches. But I think realistically, and I think if you look at the Elite League in general, you look at the teams in general, I think realistically since the inception of the CHL, I think that teams have got better and better in terms of depth. And I think, yes, we have been underestimated a little bit by clubs, and I'm under no illusions as to thinking that that played a big part certainly in the initial win at Mountfield. And I do think that they will take, they will see it as, we're playing Britain. I imagine that there's going to be a fair few people that don't realise we play hockey over here. But I think with these results now, I think with, like you say, the fact that every team that's entered it has won at least one game. And I think the way in which we're playing and the way in which we're sort of selling hockey over here when it's the CHL, I think teams will start to stand up and listen.
Anyone want to add to that?
I'm looking on the font of all knowledge, Wikipedia, just at the article they've got on the Champions Hockey League. The Elite League is ranked 11th out of the 13 leagues that compete in the CHL. Now, I've not got the time to go through and see how the Danes are doing, but I've got a feeling based on ours and Cardiff's performance this year, we actually may go above the Metalligan and wherever the BXL is, Belarus League. So we could be up to 9th at the end of this tournament. I mean, top 10 in Europe. Get on.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Anyone else want to come in on that? Okay, we shall move on because the Nottingham Lions had their season opener, the NIC, last night. They lost 5-2 to Telford Tigers, who of course dropped down to the EIHL after the demise of the EPL, where they were champions last season. The result was much closer than some thought. In fact, Dave Sims even tweeted that it was a mismatch a couple of days before the game, and as usually happens, he is proved very, very wrong. Lions are in action again next Sunday at the NIC against Jason Hewitt's Hull Pirates. That will be a 7:30 face-off. So get down to that if you can. If you're not going to Sheffield to watch the Panthers. The rest of the Elite League weekend results as the Challenge Cup competition kicked into action with 3 games on Saturday. Dundee with a surprising 3-2 shootout victory over the Belfast Giants, and Braehead with a 7-5 victory over the Manchester Storm in a bit of a shootout at the Braehead Arena. The reverse fixture on Sunday saw Manchester get revenge with a 4-1 victory in Altrincham. So the league campaign, or the Challenge Cup campaign, certainly is well underway, and the first league games will be next weekend. Panthers are taking on the Coventry Blaze at 7 o'clock at the NIC on Saturday, and then we'll be taking on the Sheffield Steelers in the first of 1,321 meetings this season at the Sheffield Arena at 5 o'clock on Sunday. So, to ask you guys, we're on top form. We've been playing quite outstanding in the Champions Hockey League. Now back to the bread and butter, where we really do have to make it count. If we play like we did on Saturday and Thursday, and the Saturday before that in Mountfield, do we think the Blaze and the Steelers stand a chance, considering that both appear to have suffered quite substantial injury problems over this weekend?
That's not how you phrased it on the agenda.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
But yes, it's we're family friendly here. We're family friendly.
I think I've only just read the agenda item. Sorry, I've only just seen it. Sorry, just carry on.
Top preparation here on the team from the Cats.
No, I just missed that one line. I just missed that, and I've just seen it. Sorry, that really surprised me.
I think. I think based on, especially both Sheffield and Blaze, based on their bruising encounters, shall we say, over the weekend, they could be in for a very tough night if we carry on. I mean, to be fair, if we play like we have done in these CHL games against both, they'd be in for a tough night when they were full strength anyway. You know what? Let's see what happens. Let's see how we're feeling on Monday, because I really, really, really hope that it's not a bit of a come down. I was chatting after the game on Saturday, and we all said it's like, you know what, Saturday's going to be such a come down after this. But I hope the players don't take that view. From what I've seen from them so far, I don't think they will. I'm really looking forward to it.
I think we'll get more of an idea of what this team's about. It's very easy to get up and excited for the big games, you know, the big European games, but it's cool, you know, like I said, the bread and butter. This is what we've got to do week in, week out. And I mean, if we play like we have been playing, then we're in for some interesting times this season, I think. But I think we just got to see. Let's hope it's not a case of after the Lord Mayor's show.
Tina?
Yeah, I mean, it's all very well. You know, we're busy pouring the praise over the team because of these results that we've watched. Certainly the last two, and you know, for me, going back to the Krefeld exhibition game as well. It's been exciting to watch. Just, you know, I mean, the last obviously not the last Continental Cup campaign, because that was really good, but the Continental Cup competition that we were in prior to that, and obviously our first CHL participation. Following that, it's you know, been a bit of a come down. but I would like to think, I would like to think, I think, I said it earlier, I'd like to think the team carry that motivation through into the domestic campaign. I think we've probably got one or two players who are, they've got half an eye on their next move. Hopefully not till the end of the season, but big fingers crossed. Right. But yeah, I think we've got one or two, who are trying to get themselves out there a little bit to a certain extent, and we've got some who are trying to make a name for themselves, and I would like to think that playing on a team that plays for each other, which they appear to be doing, is motivation enough to keep them playing. Maybe they don't have to go at the breakneck speed that Bern and Mountfield have managed to extract out from us, perhaps. But I'd like to think the motivation will continue at that sort of level. I really want us to continue on with the promising start that we have had.
I think Tina touched on one of the things that I've enjoyed most about watching this team is about how much of a team they seem to be.
Yeah.
You watch those really excellent Lace Market Media Group videos. Not entirely sure why there's a river fixation, but there you are. And you watch the team. They seem. I mean, I know it's only just September. They could all hate each other by November, but wouldn't be the first time that's happened. But they seem to be a real group, a real band of brothers, to use a terrible, awful cliche. But there seems to be they're knitting together really well, and that's you can sign. You can look at players and look at their stats and everything, and that's what you sign things on. But a lot of the time, the team that wins the league is the team that gets the best chemistry, and that's what you can't sign.
Andy?
Well, to go back to the original question of if we play like we have done against Bern and Mountfield, against Sheffield and Coventry, do they stand a chance? The answer is no. But as has been discussed, it isn't a Bern and Mountfield game. I've got no worries that we won't be able to get up for it, as it were. But I do think that we're in for another good weekend of hockey.
And Michael Garnett, maybe a little bit of extra padding on Sunday night.
Just one further point as well. Obviously, we're riding so high at the moment. These two, throughout the years, have been our biggest rivals domestically. I know the Blaze have not had the success recently, but the games between us have always been feisty affairs and what have you. And Sheffield sells itself. That's motivation enough for them to up their game as well. I mean, they do up their game against us anyway, but just based on where we are at the moment, we're a scalp for them now. So that could lead into it as well. I don't think it's going to be a breeze, but I hope we've got enough to beat them.
Okay. All right, and to finish tonight's podcast, as we've said, the Elite League season starts next Saturday, so we will do a preview. So I'll ask you all, who do you see as potential title winners? See if you narrow it down to probably 3 teams. Who has got the potential to win that Elite League title? Paul?
Oh, I hate predictions. I hate predictions. Go on. Cardiff. Go on, then I'll say it. Us and another. I don't know which.
Tina?
Yeah. Well, I always hate predictions as well, but I would. Cardiff are going to be. They're going to be wanting to retain their title. I think Sheffield are going to want it back, and they always seem to be there or thereabouts. Possibly with me saying that I may have given them the kiss of death. So you're welcome, Sheffield. I don't want to say it. I can't. No, I'm just because I don't. Yeah, if I've given the commentator's curse to Cardiff and Sheffield by saying what I think I should say, no, I'm not going to do it. You're going to have to move on. Can't do it.
Okay.
Who do we see as potential title winners? Our conference. We'll leave it at that.
Fair enough.
This is going well, isn't it?
Yeah, this is going really well. This is a belter. All right, let's open it out. Let's have a more open-ended question. Obviously, there's 12 teams in the league this season in 3 conferences. I believe that the top 8 of the league will make the playoffs and the bottom 4 will miss out. So who do you think will miss out on the playoffs?
Yeah.
I'll go because I've already got my 4.
Go on then.
And from bottom, I'm predicting this from bottom to 8th as well. So in order. So Flames, Dundee, Fife, Blaze.
Right. Okay. Andy?
Oh, do you want my opinion on this one?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
did it? Sorry, did I miss you out on the last one?
Yeah, you did a little bit, yeah.
I apologise.
I thought you were asleep.
Not this time. You see, you throw me out because you asked me who I thought was going to win the league, so I've got that in my head.
Well, I've got who's going to
And now
win.
you've asked me something completely different.
Who are the potential title winners then?
Well, Sheffield will win the league. So that's that. Not making the playoffs. Dundee, Fife, Coventry, and Manchester.
Manchester. Now they're a team that people have tipped to do well in their conference. So,
All right.
Why do you say Manchester?
Because I've thought of them.
You made him say it.
You plucked a name.
You put me on the spot. I'm going to pick
You
teams
didn't ask us
randomly.
to defend our decisions. You just
you
asked
asked
us
for
to
his-
make them.
You asked for his opinion, and he's given it. Give the man a
enough.
break.
All right. Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with Edinburgh? They're either going to be great or they're going to be terrible, I think. Or somewhere in the middle. Dundee, I think, could well struggle. Fife as well, maybe, but I really couldn't. And probably Guildford. I'll say Guildford, just to upset them.
Yeah, two new teams to upset this year. So
I'm already working on it.
have I missed anyone out?
Yeah, Tina.
Oh, damn you! I was trying to keep quiet. I thought you might move on.
Who's going to miss out then?
Who's going to miss out? I think Fife. That's me getting lynched next time I go up to Fife Arena. So I may not go up there for a few years until they forget I said anything. Who's going to miss out on playoffs?
Go on, go for a big name. Go on, go for a shock.
No, I don't know if there'll be a shock. I don't disagree with Andy saying Manchester, if I'm honest. It's a bit of a new beast for Ryan Finnerty to contend with. So we'll have to wait and see if he's built a team that is suitable for that barn. So yeah, there is potential, I think. Yeah, and yeah, I can't. I don't. Guildford, I probably wouldn't disagree with, but at the same token, we don't know what Guildford are about yet, so they could completely and utterly prove us wrong. And I'm sorry, Blaze fans, unless you give us an absolute humping on Saturday, I think that might be a former big name that may find themselves being left behind a little bit this season. They could yet prove me wrong, obviously.
I think there is one thing though that we can all agree on. That we should never do an article, an item like this ever again.
Yes.
All right.
Luckily, it's only once a year, isn't it?
Okay.
I mean, we're all fans. We're not experts. These are our opinions. For the teams that I've mentioned, I hope they prove me wrong because it would be great for their fans. But John, I'd be interested into hearing your four.
Yeah, Jono.
Who do I think will miss out? Dundee, I think. Who else? I think at the moment Fife aren't looking great, so I'm going to have to lump them in there. As much as I love Fife and going up there, I just can't. I can't see them being in the top 8 at the moment. Guildford, on paper, just don't look that strong, but again, they could prove us completely wrong. And as the last one, I think the last one is going to be a bigger name. I think Coventry will get in there. I think it could be a real shock. I think it could be someone like Belfast, maybe.
Oh, you went there. You went there with the big name.
Yeah, but the thing is, they've got a lot of class players, but they just haven't got the depth. And I think if they get into injury trouble, they're going to struggle. But realistically, they are
ninth in the league. Can you see it?
The thing is, I think Manchester look good. I think Milton Keynes look good.
Yes.
Braehead will do well, or they'll do well in their conference. I think they'll be comfortably mid-table. I don't know. I think you think about it, that Erdart conference is brutal. Us, Cardiff, Sheffield, Belfast, and out of those 4 teams, looking at the teams and analysing the teams, I just think Belfast are struggling depth-wise. So they have got very good players, but I just think on British depth, excuse me, three of their British players out of their 6 are netminders. So I think they may struggle. They may be the ones. If I had to put my neck on the block, I would probably say they would finish top 8. But I think they could be a shock. And on the other way, I think Milton Keynes could prove a lot of people wrong, and I think they will finish quite high up the league for their first season because they've clearly taken it seriously. And signing Mika Viekman as injury cover was a huge message of intent from them. So I think they are going to do very, very well.
Well, I think an even bigger message of intent was injuring your netminder in pre-season. That takes some doing.
They're in Sheffield.
Yeah, and they didn't play Steelers in the pre-season game, which is all the more shocking. All right, so time for final predictions. We're writing all these down so we can bring them back and laugh at the end of the season. Who's going to win the league? So this is neck on the block time. I will go first. I think the Nottingham Panthers will win the league this season from what I have seen so far. Who's going next?
Sheffield.
So you've got Sheffield?
Yep.
Okay. Any reason?
Because they always do.
They didn't last season.
They always find a way.
They didn't last season.
Well, they do practically every other bloody season.
They
always find a way, but they're always there or thereabouts. And I just think over the course of a long season, they tend, as a habit, to find a way to do it. And I think looking at them at the moment, I appreciate obviously with injuries, but I think on paper, without the injuries, they look like a team that are not as good as they have been. But to me, that makes them slightly more dangerous because it's a long time since we've ever been able to underestimate a Sheffield team.
Okay, Paul.
Cardiff. Because, you should never underestimate a Sheffield team. You should never underestimate the Nottingham Panthers' ability to balls things up.
So, when it comes to Panthers winning the league, you're not confident.
I think I could say that. You can't, but I can.
I think we can all say that, to be fair.
You can't see my catchphrase.
And I think Cardiff.
Cardiff.
I want to be wrong. I absolutely want to be wrong. I want it to be. I want it to be us, but well, I'll yeah, because as you've just pointed out, Paul, never underestimate the Nottingham Panthers' ability for it to all go a little bit pear-shaped.
I mean, look at it. We've just beaten Bern.
Yes.
One of the top clubs in Europe, and we're now 2 days later already all sitting here worrying about beating Coventry. Because we're nervous about playing Sheffield because that's what we're like.
We've been here before.
Exactly.
I still don't know, but I still think it'll come from our conference. Neck on the line. If you gave me a fiver to stick on one of the many betting companies, oh bugger it! I'm gonna go with us. I'm gonna go with why not? Why not? If we can keep this team together and we stay free of injuries, I think we're a better team than the rest of them. Disclaimer: I've not seen any of our domestic rivals yet.
And I also asked Aaron and Adam, who of course not on the podcast tonight, and they both plumped for Panthers as well. So
I don't believe you. I don't believe that Adam Reddish willingly and voluntarily gave up Panthers as being the potential league winners.
I would agree with that, Tina.
I think he's been kidnapped and drugged, or his phone got stolen or something.
You all saw it. It was in the WhatsApp group. So.
I know, and I still don't believe it.
All right, then. So that's 4 of us plumping for the Panthers, 2 for Cardiff and 1 for Sheffield. And we shall congratulate the Belfast Giants on their Elite League Championship victory right now. They will probably take the title come March. All right, I think that wraps it up for this evening. Just one thing left to say is about Wednesday. We will be back with Ask TCW. So please send your questions in to us via the usual channels at Cats Whiskers TV on Twitter, the various Facebook groups, email, which is tcwonlinetv@gmail.com, or our dedicated thread on the Cage Forum, where there has been a couple of questions already. So
just a quick one though, because I did sort of try to plug it on previous mini and proper podcasts. We were supposed to have Aaron Murphy, but he's had to postpone.
Yes, he is commentating on the KHL game on Wednesday night, but we're hoping to have him on the following Wednesday, so that's Wednesday the 13th of September. We hope to have Aaron Murphy on Ask TCW. Right, is there anything else from anybody?
Well, have we discussed Cardiff winning yet? Or
yes.
Did I miss?
Yes, we did.
Fair enough. You obviously didn't come to me again. Well done, Cardiff.
No, Jono just sort of briefly mentioned it, and then we moved on to how the Elite League's been underestimated.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, well done. It was a fantastic game as well.
And I thought they were gubbed out of a regulation win because there was nothing wrong with that goal for me. But there you go. So, yes, congratulations, Cardiff Devils, and many congratulations to the Nottingham Panthers after a quite fantastic week or so. Let's hope it continues into next weekend. But all that remains to be said from us is thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much to Andy Haywood.
Anytime. Good night.
Antoine Marie-Jeanne.
Take care.
Tina Taylor.
TTFN.
And Paul Balm.
Thank you. Good night.
And we will be back on Wednesday for Ask TCW. But until then, thanks very much for listening, and we will speak to you on Wednesday. Get your questions in.